The crystal chandeliers of the Metropolitan Club cast warm light across the elegant dining room, as 34-year-old Marcus Rodriguez carefully balanced a tray of wine glasses, navigating between tables filled with the city's elite. As head waiter at one of Manhattan's most exclusive private clubs, Marcus had served countless powerful executives and celebrities. But tonight's event was particularly high stakes, the annual Sterling Foundation Gala. Marcus had been working double shifts to cover his daughter Sophia's medical expenses. The 8-year-old had been born with a rare heart condition that required ongoing treatment, and even with insurance, the costs were overwhelming for a single father whose ex-wife had abandoned them both when Sophia's diagnosis became clear. At the head table sat 38-year-old CEO Victoria Sterling, founder of Sterling Industries and one of the most influential businesswomen in the country. Her white designer dress was immaculate, her dark hair pulled back in an elegant chignon, and her presence commanded the attention of everyone in the room. Marcus approached her table with practiced confidence, preparing to serve the evening's featured wine, a rare vintage that cost more per bottle than he earned in a week. As he leaned forward to fill Victoria's glass, his sleeve caught on the elaborate floral centerpiece. Time seemed to slow as the wine bottle slipped from his grasp, its contents cascading across the pristine white tablecloth and splashing directly onto Victoria's expensive dress. The deep red wine spread across the fabric like spilled blood, creating a dramatic contrast that drew gasps from nearby guests. The dining room fell silent as conversation stopped, and all eyes turned to the disaster unfolding at the head table. Marcus felt his heart sink as he realized he had just ruined not only an irreplaceable designer gown, but potentially his career and his daughter's medical coverage. "I'm so terribly sorry," Marcus began, reaching for his napkin to help clean up the mess. "Please, let me—" "Don't touch it," snapped Richard Blackwood, the club's general manager, who had appeared instantly as if summoned by the catastrophe. "Ms. Sterling, I apologize profusely for this inexcusable clumsiness. We'll cover all cleaning and replacement costs naturally." Marcus stood frozen, waiting for the explosion of anger that would certainly follow. He had seen wealthy patrons react to far smaller inconveniences with fury that could end careers and reputations. But Victoria Sterling's response shocked everyone in the room. Standing up slowly, wine dripping from her dress, Victoria looked directly at Marcus with an expression that was calm rather than furious. "What's your name?" she asked quietly. "Marcus Rodriguez, ma'am," he replied, bracing himself for the verbal assault that was surely coming. "Marcus, do you have children?" The unexpected question caught him off guard. "Yes, ma'am. A daughter, Sophia. She's 8. Victoria nodded thoughtfully, seemingly oblivious to the stares of the other guests and the wine staining her expensive gown. "Are you a good father, Marcus?" "I try to be, ma'am. She's everything to me." "I can see that," Victoria said, and Marcus was surprised to detect something like understanding in her voice. "Mr. Blackwood, I need you to understand something very clearly." Richard Blackwood stepped forward, clearly expecting Victoria to demand Marcus's immediate termination. "This was an accident," Victoria continued, her voice carrying the authority that had built a business empire. "Accidents happen to good people who are working hard to take care of their families. If this man loses his job over an accident, the Sterling Foundation will reconsider its association with this club." The threat was delivered with such quiet certainty that Richard Blackwood's face went pale. The Sterling Foundation's events were among the club's most prestigious and profitable gatherings. "Of course, Ms. Sterling. Absolutely." "Marcus, please continue with your duties," Blackwood stammered before retreating quickly. But Victoria wasn't finished. She turned back to Marcus, who was still standing in stunned silence. "Marcus, I'd like to speak with you privately after the event. Would that be possible?" "Yes, ma'am, certainly." "And Marcus, stop apologizing. You did nothing wrong." 2 hours later, after the gala had concluded and the last guests had departed, Marcus found himself in the club's private library sitting across from Victoria Sterling, who had changed into a simple black dress but still carried herself with the same commanding presence. "Marcus, I want to ask you something and I need you to be completely honest with me." "Yes, ma'am. Why do you work here? What are you trying to achieve?" Marcus hesitated, unsure how much personal information to share with someone of her stature. But something about Victoria's direct manner encouraged honesty. My daughter Sophia has a rare heart condition. The medical costs are substantial. I work here because the pay is good and the insurance coverage is comprehensive. Everything I do is about making sure she gets the care she needs." Victoria nodded as if she had expected this answer. "And what would you do if money weren't an issue? What kind of work would you choose?" The question surprised Marcus. "I'd probably go back to school. Before Sophia was born, I was studying business administration. I always wanted to work in nonprofit management, helping families navigate medical crises. But when she got sick, I had to drop out and find immediate income." "That's what I thought," Victoria said with satisfaction. "Marcus, what happened tonight wasn't an accident in the traditional sense." Marcus looked confused. "I don't understand. I've been watching you work this evening. You've treated every guest with respect and professionalism. You've anticipated needs before they were expressed. And you've managed the stress of a high-pressure environment with remarkable composure. When you spilled that wine, my first thought wasn't anger, it was opportunity." "Opportunity?" Victoria leaned forward, her expression intense. "The Sterling Foundation needs someone to head our new family medical support division. Someone who understands what it's like to navigate the healthcare system while trying to maintain employment and family stability. Someone who has the education and intelligence to manage complex programs, but also the personal experience to understand what families really need." Marcus stared at her in amazement. "Ms. Sterling, are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a career. The position comes with a salary that would more than cover Sophia's medical expenses, comprehensive health benefits, and tuition assistance for you to complete your degree. More importantly, you'd be helping other families avoid the impossible choices you've had to make." Marcus felt tears form in his eyes as he realized that what had seemed like his worst professional moment was actually becoming the answer to prayers he had been too proud to voice. "But why? Why would you take such a chance on someone you barely know?" Victoria smiled, the first genuine warmth he had seen from her all evening. "Because 15 years ago I was a single mother working 3 jobs to pay for my son's autism therapy. A stranger took a chance on me when I was desperate, and that opportunity changed everything. Sometimes the most qualified candidates aren't the ones with perfect resumes. They're the ones who understand what really matters." 6 months later, Marcus stood in the Sterling Foundation's new offices, reviewing applications from families seeking assistance with medical expenses. The Family Medical Support Division had already helped over 200 families navigate insurance complications, find specialized care, and access financial assistance programs. Sophia was thriving with the comprehensive medical care she now received, and Marcus was completing his degree through evening classes while building programs that would help thousands of families facing similar challenges. "You know what I learned that night at the club?" Victoria said during one of their weekly program reviews. "What's that?" "That sometimes we mistake accidents for destiny. You didn't spill that wine by chance. You were exactly where you needed to be for me to recognize what you could contribute to our mission." Marcus smiled, thinking about how dramatically his life had changed since that moment of apparent disaster. "And I learned that shame and failure are often just fear wearing disguises. When I thought my life was falling apart, it was actually coming together in ways I never could have imagined." "The best leaders," Victoria observed, "are usually the ones who have faced real challenges and learned that success isn't about avoiding problems, it's about developing the character to handle them with grace. Sometimes the most transformative moments in our lives come disguised as disasters, and sometimes the people who seem to have the most power are actually looking for opportunities to lift others up rather than tear them down." If this story reminded you that our worst moments can become doorways to our best opportunities, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to remember that shame and failure are often just stepping stones to something better. Subscribe for more stories about finding purpose through adversity and how helping others can transform our own lives. And let us know in the comments about a time when an embarrassing mistake led to an unexpected blessing. Sometimes the most important spills are the ones that wash away our limitations and reveal new possibilities.